Welcome, welcome. It's Iona. This is Emerge and See, and it is week six. And we are really getting an opportunity to kind of connect with the idea that this first quarter of the year, spring equinox over to summer solstice, allows us to really get intimate with our own sense of self. And what a great thing to do once a year, don't you think? To just really immerse and look at how the time is really unfolding with this quality of progress without pressure. We're not rushing ourselves, even though we're aware that this is one of the busiest quadrants of the year in the natural circadian feminine calendar. When we get to spring equinox and over to summer solstice, everything in the natural world begins to kind of quicken its pace, and we're part of nature, so we quicken our pace. But what we're looking at in Emerge and See is that we can be more me as we move into our walk, collective walk this year. I'm very glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that we are together in this beautiful opportunity to recognize that it is about time to allow ourselves to release the burden of feeling like we have to do it all, be it all, and have it all, because we don't feel like we have enough, do enough, or are enough. So this is a really wonderful opportunity to practice together the idea that, we bring a little wabi-sabi in. Things are all impermanent. Nothing is perfect, and nothing is ever complete. And that allows us to breathe into the natural way of the world, which most of us are pretty separated from. So this last week we talked about the core issue that we get to walk through the natural circadian year, exploring and investigating and setting some roots down, but at the same time, as we walk through the chakra system in our body, we get up to the crown chakra, and we just feel ourselves being able to connect with something bigger than ourselves, something greater than ourselves. So we're beginning to sense into how being me is so much more than what I might have thought it was before I began to connect all these wonderful dots that we're looking at in the first quarter of the natural circadian feminine year. We always have a prompt when we have our videos on each week. We look at where we've been and we look at where we're going. We did a nice review on the call of the different ways in which we've moved through the last 5 weeks. And so here in week 6, we just want to get out our 5x7 index card. We remember that we're making flashcards in each of our courses. That gives us a simple way to connect with the material, and it's a hands-on opportunity each and every session to create our own connection with what it is we're experiencing. We're expressing what we're experiencing as we're experiencing it week by week. We're staying in the present moment. We're working from home. And so with everything that we've looked at thus far, we come to this beautiful place in week 6. I just love this point in the first quarter of the natural year, where we begin to recognize that, it's a little bit of an estivation redux, we could say, that we're looking again at that idea that estivation is the pre-floration mandala. It's what cannot be seen. It's what's hidden from view. It's in many ways the in utero phase of a flower blossom. And just like we were growing and creating ourselves in utero before we took our first breath, we were forming ourselves. And so here in the first quarter of each new natural feminine circadian year, we get this opportunity to reconfigure, revisit, recreate a sense of this is who I am. And so we're looking at how our experiences support that we don't have to constantly create the same kind of experience over and over again. We get to learn that if a relationship isn't working, there's a good reason why it's time to move on. We get to remember that if we're trying and trying and trying something, that we begin to get this sense of the inertia of trying. So we stop trying and we make a decision. Either I will do this or I will not do this. And so much of this takes place because we gave ourselves an opportunity to create, to form, to become who we are, and then find ourselves back home again before we go forward. So in this 6th week, what we're looking at is that estivation period in the springtime, that pre-floration point of the symbolic time before we blossom, doesn't remain static. There's something magical and mystical taking place outside our view when a flower blossom is in the estivation point of its development. So we see that in ourselves. We see that in our imperfection. We see that in our incompleteness. And we see that in our opportunity to recognize that we're going to blossom. It's inevitable that we're going to blossom, but we're not going to stay in blossom permanently. This gives us a lot of creative freedom. I love this. I love this awareness, and I hope that you begin to get a sense of how it fits for you, because it's your seed vision, it's your dream, it's your idea, your inspiration, it's your project, your program, the relationship that means the most right now in your life, the challenge that's coming to meet you, whatever it might be, whatever area of your precious human life that you're choosing to track as you walk around this natural circadian feminine year, we realize that each phase only lasts for a short time. And we get the gusto. So we're getting the gusto of the wisdom cycle. Bridging out of clarity into wisdom takes some gumption. We don't just stay where we're at. We don't just keep trying to get more wisdom, more wisdom, more wisdom. So we're really in this wonderful place now where we're at the halfway point of the wisdom cycle. And again, do you notice, are you really sensing into that a mere 15 minutes a day can give you a real graced pace? Just time begins to flow in a different rhythm. It's a circadian rhythm. And we know back from our 8-day challenge and from any of the month-long or longer courses that we've been doing in It's About Time to create progress without pressure, we see that we're always at a point of reaching the next point. We're taking the next step. We're here, we're home, and we're taking the next step. So our 5x7 card today kind of gives us a leap. We're taking a leap now. And I look forward to seeing how this plays out for each of us as we engage in our workbook playbook and in our 5x7 card. And as we share on the integration call on Thursday evening, tomorrow evening. It's going to be really fun to see what you're feeling about this point where we're really sort of sensing that, ooh, this is kind of a stretch. This is more of a leap. I put my foot on the bridge and now I'm sensing that I can take giant steps across the bridge if I choose to. I could play leapfrog across the bridge. I could run across the bridge. Remember, we're in the action-oriented portion of the year in both the spring quadrant and the summer quadrant. So we begin to get a sense of I'm getting a little bit more pepped up here. I can kind of sense in that there is a rhythm. It's mine. It's nobody else's. I'm not comparing my rhythm to anybody else's. So if I'm still kind of not clear about what my vision is for the year, no worries. It's going to come to meet me. That is the beauty of placing our foot onto the path of the natural circadian feminine year. So when we get out our 5x7 cards this week, the prompt is, I am a flower, a flower. I'm now leaving the estivation point, and I'm giving myself permission to bloom. Now you're going to love what happens next week in the 7th week as we allow ourselves to get cozied up with the concept of we can't stay in a prefloration mode for too long, because it would be like a butterfly staying in the cocoon when it's time for it to split the cocoon, pump the blood into the wings, let the wings dry, and then you don't just hang out, you get going, you get moving. So we begin to see that something is beginning to build now. And it can be as natural and as circadian as your working from home rhythm allows for you. But this week we want to recognize that as we begin to come closer and closer to the midpoint and then pass the midpoint of the wisdom cycle, there's wisdom in recognizing that, yes, I was in a tight bud and I was getting to know the nobility, the quality of the best me that I can be. And now I'm getting more confident and I'm getting more sense of a definite connection to the dream vision, the seed vision, the movement that I am called to create, the expression of my own heart's work. My hearth fire is burning beautifully and I'm deeply grounded, I'm stable. I'm recognizing my core issue, and even though I have one, you have one, we all have one, I won't allow that to keep me from blossoming. So in this week we are a flower, a flower. And I like the play on words that comes up at this point in time. I hope that you'll actually sink deep into it. That what does it mean in your life to be able to step into your own individual, natural, circadian, feminine flow? And how does that then relate to this beautiful way that we play with language in It's About Time to Emerge and See, that we're playing with the language of natural growth, natural flow, natural movement. So see where that takes you, see what that brings you, and remember that your playbook is the place where you can dialogue with yourself on a regular basis. Again, even if it's only for 15 minutes a day, you get to go into your play. I did a veterans workshop over at the Virginia Museum of Contemporary Art this past week, and we were all working in our visual journaling books, and it just naturally rose up to call these books breathing books, like little portable breathing rooms, that whenever we open them, it's like we're walking into the door of a sacred space. So that too can be part of the flowing, the flowering, the full blossoming that we're bringing forward as we get into week 6 of It's About Time to Create Progress Without Pressure and to Emerge and See. We're emerging, we're coming into the full blossom of who we came here to be. We're not in the same place we were a year ago at this time. And so we want to really engage and place our fingers on the pulse point of being a flower, being a flower in our own lives. So let's close with a wonderful little ditty, Row, Row, Row Your Boat. When we sing Row, Row, Row Your Boat, it gives us this wonderful way to continue to move forward in our flow. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. We imagine it all. We're creatives. We bring what we can imagine into our awareness all through the different levels, energetic levels of our body. And when we're rowing our boat, it's 3 rows, and it's gently down the stream. And it's 4 merrilies. Merrily, 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 merrily. Life is but a dream. This is Iona. This is Wren House Studio. This is It's About Time to Create Progress Without Pressure. Emerge and See, Week 6. I look forward to hearing from you on our Facebook thread if you choose to use it. You can also email me the diagram that you create on your 5x7 card. This is a good time for me to mention that if you create all of your cards and you can document them either by posting them weekly or emailing them over to me or saving them all up and photographing them all at once, when we get to the close of our 9-week session, there'll be a little drawing, and somebody who gets their name pulled out of the hat will get a special recognition gift from Emerge and See for our spring quadrant. It's so beautiful to be here with you. I send you so much love, and I look forward to seeing you on the call or having you pick up the recording of the call. Remember, every Friday you'll get an email that contains the library of all of the videos and all of the audios, and also from time to time, a lovely little bonus. Take good care, and I'll talk with you soon.